thank you very much for picking our abstract for the symposium. In my name and the other authors, unfortunately, the main author, Dr. Jagielski, cannot be present, and this is mostly his work and his research, but I would like to present it as well. So the subject of our presentation is endoscopic pancreatic stent fragmentation. This is a very rare complication of these procedures performed in a chronic pancreatitis. The stent fracture and migration of the stent can be upstream, proximally, and downstream, distally. It's a serious clinical problem that may lead to completely loss of pancreatic duct function. And obstruction of the pancreatic duct that might result in pancreatitis, acute pancreatitis. In the literature, there are no studies conducted on the large group of patients that can describe the therapeutic strategy for the patients with broken pancreatic stent. Available reports comprise mainly a single case description. Our study presents the results of treatment in patients with fragmentation diagnosed during endotherapy of chronic pancreatitis. As you can see on your left side, there is a 3 fragmented fracture, two places fracture with 3 fragments, and on your right side there is a prosthesis that is broken in one place, and we have one place for prosthesis. The materials and methods it was a retrospective analysis conducted on over 207,700 ERCP procedures, which in the 678 patients with a chronic pancreatitis. The studies was conducted in 2 clinical centers in Poland, one in Gdańsk and one in Toruń. 678 patients had a single pigtail pancreatic stent inserted. The diameter of pancreatic stent was 5, 7.7, 8.5, or 10 French. And it was selected individually for every patient according to the diameter of main pancreatic duct or a presence of strictures in the duct. The recommended interval of endoscopic treatment, the time that we chose between exchanges of pancreatic stent, 678 patients, was also calculated individually. The stents were later exchanged after 3, 6, or 12 months, or until the time when no indication for main pancreatic duct stenting were stated. Intraductal pancreatic stent fragmentation was stated during 34 of 2,084 ERCP procedures in 34 patients. The indication for patients was pancreatic duct stricture, what was the main reason, and it was connected with 26 patients. The 6 patients has a pancreatic duct disruption, and 2 patients has a pancreatic duct stones. I would like to also present the are connected with the pancreatic stent fragmentation. It was more often in patients with chronic calcific pancreatitis. When the pancreatic stones was in the pancreatic duct, the stricture of the main pancreatic duct was in body or in the tail, and initial phase of the pancreatic endotherapy up to 4. 30 patients. The fracture was connected also with the size of the prosthesis, and in 30 patients it was connected with 7 French. 30 patients with broken prosthesis were asymptomatic. In 3 patients presented an abdominal pain, and 1 patient complained of abdominal pain and weight loss, which was 8 kilos within 3 months. In these 34 patients, there were 48 intraductal fragments of a broken stent. In 32 patients, the fragment of broken stents were removed from the pancreatic duct endoscopically. Only in 2 patients, endoscopic management was ineffective, and we have to ask the surgeons for help. This is a case of a patient with pancreatic duct stones. We saw this prosthesis fracture, which was removed with a rat tooth forceps, and this is the part of the prosthesis that were taken from the patient. This is another patient with a fragment of the prosthesis was in the tail of the pancreas. It is the only example of the use of polypectomy snare, because we couldn't. It was a problem with retrieve it with a rat tooth forceps with Dormia basket. And the polypectomy snare was the only device that could allow to do it. That is the same patient. Okay, and this is the fragment of the prosthesis. And the last patient is a patient with pancreatic duct disrupture. After 6 months of putting the prosthesis in the pancreatic duct, there was a 4 fragmental fracture. 1 fragment was retrieved physiologically. 1 fragment was retrieved with a Dormia basket, and 2 with a rat tooth forceps. It's the endoscopic view. That's the 3 parts that can be combined. So in conclusions, the intraductal fragmentation of pancreatic stents is a rare of endoscopic treatment that often occurs without symptoms. In our opinion, regardless of the lack of symptoms, an attempt at stent fragment retrieval should be made, as they can be successfully removed with the use of techniques. Thank you very much.